Welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers.
We're your hosts, Mary Ann
and Ching-en.
Please join us as we explore the journeys amazing people take in pursuit of their dreams.
And get insights from their experiences.
Let's hit the road.
And get started.
Hey guys, welcome back to Formosa Dream Chasers. We continue our talk today with Chair and Professor Yi-chun Tricia Lin as she shares with us her perspective on what feminism is all about and how this led her to connect to the indigenous communities here in Taiwan.
Over many years of teaching feminism, how would you define feminism and what's the difference between Taiwan's feminism and the feminisms in the U.S.?
I'm not sure I'm qualified to address your last question, which is a great one. That is feminisms expressed here in Taiwan versus those in the States or elsewhere, right? I'll come to that. I call myself feminist today. It's not a term I was initially comfortable with because, like most, we get socialized to think of feminism of us, in certain ways, right? So over the years, in my close to two decades of teaching, directing this program, now chair of this baby department, I would say that feminism is what education is about. Feminism has its roots in obviously gender equality, but it doesn't stop there. It is about racial intersectional justice, and it is about allowing every single person to pursue and fulfill their full potential. And it is, at the end, about decolonizing the world we inhabit for the better of the future generations. So feminism, to me, is a worldview, is a way we live, we conduct ourselves. Very hard for me to really separate feminism from the way I think, the way I live, the way I teach, the way I interact, including with both of you. And it is also about affirming humanity at any moment. It's also about undoing all kind of oppression and dissecting privilege, hidden and not so hidden ones. Sarah Ahmed actually calls feminism is world making. It is visionary. It is about making a better world. If anyone's heart is for a better world, I just have a hard time believing that you actually would condemn feminism.
So that said, is that why you continue to put a spotlight on women's writers and women's issues in your work?
Yes. What I do, women's issues are really all issues, right? So what are not women's issues? And women, I want to underscore it. It's beyond the cisgender framework, right? Also the gender non-binary, female identified folks. So I would say that most recently, my work on indigenous feminism is largely out of this desire to highlight a thinking that has always been there since time immemorial, through colonization, through contact, colonization. It has always been there, and it is actually offering us, the world, a solution out of this space that is so unhealthy, the space that is, I call male supremacy, white supremacy, Mandarin supremacy, settler colonialism, capitalism, and whatnot. I can go further into why I highlight certain feminist thinkers, but ultimately, I think that they have always been there, and that they have been sort of ignored, not looked at, or not highlighted enough by feminist writers or people in my field. Typically, in a women's and gender studies course, we start, when people talk about history, it's like there's no feminism before 1850, right? It would start with the so-called first wave, right? The first wave, the 1848 convention, the first meeting of the suffragists in the States, Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and their colleagues. So very often that's the narrative, and I try to undo that, because Elizabeth Cady Stanton wouldn't be Elizabeth Cady Stanton, nor would Matilda Jocelyn Cage be who she was as a suffragist, as a first wave feminist, without the teaching, without the modeling of Haudenosaunee women, the indigenous women whom they live next to in the upstate New York today. So feminism in the States owes a lot to indigenous women. And that's one reason why I constantly try to undo this white feminist narrative. So yes, I do focus a lot on indigenous issues, indigenous women's issues, because they are among the most disadvantaged. But at the same time, that is not just to focus on this suffering. That quite the contrary, they have the most to offer to the world, to show us a way out of the fix we are in.
You've been educated in the US for the PhD, and feminism became part of your career. Can you tell us about how you reconnect with Taiwan, how you turn your focus back to Taiwan after this kind of intellectual
wandering?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever left Taiwan. Every visit home is a rediscovering of the wealth of Taiwan. In 1999, I did a 5-week faculty institute, a summer institute that is hosted by National Endowment for the Humanities in the U.S. And it's called Reimagining the Pacific. And it looks at the indigenous Pacific. I was so energized by this 5-week course, but at the same time, I was greatly puzzled by this 5-week institute, because Taiwan was not mentioned anywhere. No was Philippines, right? I mean, the Pacific that is defined in the faculty institute was limited to the Pacific Islands. That is to say, Hawaii, Aotearoa, and Papua Nui, or Easter Island, right? This triangle overlooking the Sinophone Pacific, overlooking Tagalog Pacific, or other Pacific, right? I guess that was sort of my turn to say, I want to know what's going on here. And I want to also really highlight this gap. When you reimagine the Pacific, you kind of cut off a good part of it. That's problematic. You also cut off what is now considered the origin place of the Polynesian Pacific, right? Because Taiwan is now agreed by so many scholars, anthropologists, archaeologists to be the site where the ancient the ancestors of Maori people and Hawaiian people originated. So the connection was always there, but I guess it also has to do with the fact that I need to reassert what this body embodied does matter, right? And I would say that I wish, to go back to one of the questions that you raised earlier, I did not get a chance to address about difference between the feminisms here and elsewhere. I would just say that today Taiwan is so in sync with the world. I think Taiwan is a reflection or microcosm of a lot of feminist discussions elsewhere as well. If anything, I think the circulation knowledge actually travels much faster.
Can you share with us what you've done to make connections and even collaborate with the indigenous activists and feminist scholars here in Taiwan?
Yeah, actually, I totally forgot about this close to 20-year relationship with indigenous community, largely through the platform of United Nations indigenous issues. So I mentioned the National Endowment for the Humanities Faculty Institute in Hawaii. I came back really refurbishing my library with a lot of books, titles about indigenous Taiwan. In 2004, a former student of mine who had taken a course with me in Asian American Studies told me, Tricia, you have to come to meet people here in the American Indian Community House. They do amazing work. You have to meet my friend Ali Issa, who was president and founder of Flying Eagle Women Fund for Peace, Justice, and Sovereignty. So through my former student Catherine Saul, I got introduced to this amazing urban Indian community. Indian is the word that you would use, American Indian community. That sort of launched my sort of decades of pursuit of understanding, getting to know better indigenous communities as lived, right? Not as written. In 2004 is also the year that there was an indigenous delegation from Taiwan who was coming to New York, and they were looking for someone to host. I happened to be that point person. My college buddy Shumei said, well, we learned that there's such delegation coming to New York. Would you be able to host them? So through American Indian Community House and my friend Ali Issa, we actually, had this multi-day reception. And since then, I have not stopped going to the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. Every year I would go on some capacity. And it was that year, 2004, I met some of the folks from Taiwan for the very first time, indigenous Taiwanese. They came to New York for the forum, and I still remember almost every single one of them. It's about 4 of them. One of them I still stay in contact. That's Skaya Siku. So I met Skaya. Skaya today is a very incredible researcher, community member, activist here, and also a filmmaker, a scholar of film, and also a filmmaker herself. So like this, over the years, I met many Taiwan indigenous delegations sent to the UN because of my connection to the American Indian Community House and the Flying Eagle Women Fund. I was able to help somewhat in facilitating the registration process. I couldn't do registration for them because I'm just an academic, but because of the nonprofit status that Flying Eagle Women Fund and American Indian Community House held, they were able to help register over the years some of the members from Taiwan indigenous communities. It was incredible because I got to know firsthand some of the most exciting struggles happening, movements going on here. So when I come home, every time I would make a point to visit their communities. And like this, I have come to call a few indigenous communities almost like a must-visit place when I come to Taiwan. Yeah, so that's how I got connected. And because my connection to the Taiwan indigenous community through the United Nations platform, by extension, I also got connected to feminist scholars working on indigenous issues.
We continue with Tricia's journey on how she became a feminist scholar and an advocate for social justice in our next episode. In the meantime, if you are enjoying this program, please do drop us a line and share your thoughts. Simply go to the RTI website at en.rti.org.tw. Click on Programs. Look for our show, Formosa Dream Chasers, and fill in the Google form. We would be more than happy to hear from you.
Again, this is Ching En.
And Mary Ann. See you guys next Sunday. Bye.